Trump challenged Obama to a live debate, believing it would be the showdown he'd been waiting for. He expected a loud, confrontational exchange, where forceful rhetoric would carry the day. Instead, the plan unraveled almost immediately. Within the first 3 questions, Obama never once matched Trump's volume or aggression. Rather than argue, he quietly reshaped the conversation, offering a different definition of strength, leadership, and truth with each response. By the time the 3rd question ended, Trump still held the microphone, but the audience's attention had shifted. Here's how the exchange unfolded.
The childish nicknames, the crazy conspiracy theories, this weird obsession with crowd sizes.
President Obama, and if he wanted help, I'd give him help because I'm a really good builder and I build on time, on budget. He's building his library in Chicago. It's a disaster.
I seem to think Trump's behavior, the bullying and the putting people down, is a sign of strength.
And then, very importantly, I terminated Barack Hussein Obama's Iran nuclear deal, a disaster. Obama gave them $1.7 billion in cash. Green.
The atmosphere was tense, long before Trump spoke his first words. Bright stage lights filled the room. Television cameras remained locked on the candidates, and the audience gathered inside the National Constitution Center sensed they were about to witness something far from an ordinary political event. Trump sat on one side, visibly energized, eager to turn every answer into a display of confidence and dominance. Across from him was Obama, composed and deliberate, maintaining a calm presence that seemed to frustrate Trump more with every passing moment. Officially, the discussion centered on the state of the nation. But Trump appeared to have a different objective. He wasn't looking for a policy conversation, he wanted a confrontation. A direct debate, a headline-making clash, an opportunity to overpower his opponent. When Trump challenged Obama face-to-face, he seemed convinced he had seized control of the evening. He had no idea the momentum was about to shift. The moderator opened with a straightforward question. What is the greatest test of a president's strength? Trump answered immediately. Holding the microphone as though he were addressing one of his campaign rallies, he spoke about border security, military power, America's adversaries, and insisted that no president had projected greater strength than he had. His supporters applauded enthusiastically. The response had the familiar cadence they expected, confident, forceful, and loud. Obama waited patiently for the applause to fade before speaking. His answer took an entirely different direction. He said that a president's strength isn't measured by the volume of their voice, or by the number of enemies they create. Without mentioning Trump directly, Obama offered a broader definition of leadership, one that quietly made Trump's answer seem far less substantial. Trump leaned back, visibly irritated, muttering that the response was dull. But the audience had already noticed the contrast. One man focused on applause, the other focused on responsibility. The moderator moved to the second question. What is the most misunderstood part of your presidency? Trump responded quickly, almost as if speed itself could prevent the discussion from settling. He argued that he'd been treated unfairly from the beginning, that the media had targeted him relentlessly. Every scandal had been fabricated, every investigation politically motivated, and every critic driven by corruption. It was a familiar narrative, one audiences had heard many times before. Gradually, however, his response drifted away from the question itself. Rather than explaining his presidency, he appealed to the audience's sympathy. Obama paused before answering. His expression suggested someone who had heard this argument many times before. He replied that the most misunderstood part of serving as president is realizing there are no easy days in the office. Every decision involves choosing between difficult options, and every decision affects families who may never know the president's name. Then he added another thought. The presidency is not a performance. It is not a show. It is service. Moments later came the sentence that changed the atmosphere inside the room. The presidency is not about your feelings. It is about the American people. The words landed with unmistakable force. Trump's smile disappeared. His expression hardened into a glare. Obama hadn't attacked him personally. Instead, he had taken the central theme of Trump's response and contrasted it with the responsibilities of leadership. Suddenly, Trump's complaints sounded less like resilience and more like self-focus. The audience didn't burst into applause. Instead, the room became silent, and that silence carried even greater weight, because it meant people were reflecting on what they had just heard. The third question would change the entire evening. What is the single most important quality of a commander-in-chief? Trump leaned toward the microphone. His tone was lower now, more deliberate. Toughness, he answered. He argued that a president must always be willing to fight, do whatever it takes to win, and never allow weakness to show. Then he leaned back, appearing satisfied that he'd delivered the decisive response. Obama didn't hurry. He allowed a brief silence before speaking. Then he said the most essential quality of any commander-in-chief is truthfulness. Without truth, he explained, trust cannot exist. And without trust, leadership cannot survive. The room fell completely still. Obama continued calmly, saying that truth often reveals itself in the smallest moments, especially when facts become inconvenient, and leaders must choose whether to accept reality or reshape it for their own advantage. The implication was clear. Many in the audience recognized exactly what he was referring to. Trump shifted in his chair and attempted to interrupt, but by then, the moment had already taken hold. What had begun as a contest between two very different personalities had become something much larger, a comparison of leadership itself. Throughout the evening, Trump sought to dominate through confrontation. Obama answered by emphasizing restraint, public service, and honesty. Trump tried to regain momentum with familiar claims that the process was unfair. But the tone inside the room had already changed. Across 3 separate questions, the audience had watched the contrast unfold in real time. And once they had seen it, there was no reversing it.